Is he?
Yes, he's gay, I'm gay, you're gay, everyone's gay. Can we finish?
Get up, move and be the hero.
What do you mean you got married? You got married to John Paul?
I married John Paul, we were called McKay.
Crap name.
Hello, mate. So nice to see you, man.
We did it!
This is Greg Finnegan. We're doing an LGBT plus documentary.
Oh, very good.
Then, because I'm so cute.
Yeah. Oh, shut up, Esther.
My nan watches Hollyoaks and she's 84.
Tears were real. The upset was real.
I'm now with Tony's son Harry, we're called Sari. Who's next?
Hollyoaks Pride is officially over!
Channel 4 was created to give a voice to a minority audience, so I think it's incredibly important that Hollyoaks, as Channel 4's flagship drama, gives that voice to LGBT plus viewers. We've had a fantastic record over the years of telling stories for gay, lesbian, bisexual and trans characters, and I'm really proud to be flying that flag today.
It's boy on boy, it's girl on girl, it's everything going on. And their sexuality is about the 19th most important thing about them. It's just celebrated, it's like, this is just life.
I think the important thing for me as an LGBT viewer is to see stories that are storyline based, yet with gay characters, rather than just going for a token gay character storyline.
There is a constant that goes on from the 90s right through into current day with LGBT plus storylines. So that is really important, I think, that for people of all ages to see themselves represented all the time and not just as a token afterthought.
I would happily put any family member, any young boy, any young girl in front of Hollyoaks and I would say, this is life, this is how it's done. I think Hollyoaks tackles these issues brilliantly.
Hello! Hey! I think I got a better one than me. Can we do it again? Just one more time. Get in! How are you, buddy?
This is
great to see you.
So weird.
I know. May 16th, 2010, I signed my contract with Hollyoaks, came on board as a nefarious, debauched Dublin guy with a tash he called his flavour saver. And then I met...
He was a straight scally with 2 children to Amy, going down the wrong path, not knowing what to do with his life, until he met Brendan, who made him question his sexuality over a glass of whiskey, was it?
I don't know, but I seduced you, man. Brendan seduced Steve.
Yeah, Brendan seduced me.
Brendan seduced Steve.
Our storyline was quite important and massively in my memory because at the same time, I obviously knew that I was gay, but the public didn't know. And I decided to come out on national television.
But there are elements here that, in actual fact, are quite close to your life yourself. And what would they be?
The fact that I am gay in real life, and at 20 years old I kind of accepted it myself, and now I can finally relate to my character Steve, that he's 20 and he's going through things that I went through in my past.
I had somebody say to me before I come out this morning saying, this boy is about to ruin his career if he does this. Well, now we're on, what, 7 years later. I feel like from that moment, my career went from strength to strength. So to that person that said that, I stick my fingers up at you because it was the best thing that I ever did.
And it's quite a big thing to say publicly.
Yeah.
But I'd rather do it here with you two than anywhere else.
I wanted to sit there on a sofa on television and let young people see another young person saying, I'm gay. I've just said it and I'm all right, I'm still here. So that was the message that I was trying to get across.
So we've come a long way from there to where we are now, but until that stops becoming a thing, we still have some work to go. I remember I'd left, I don't know if I've told you this, I left Hollyoaks and I'm walking through the streets of Chestertown. I'm looking up at the sky and I could see someone walk towards me from my peripheral vision. And I look down and I see this shy, unassuming guy, and he comes over and goes, Emmett, sorry to disturb you. I just want you to know that the work that you did in Hollyoaks gave me the courage to come out to my dad. Again, I'm sorry to disturb you. I just want you to know and thank you. And then he turned around and he walked away. I'm not sure if I said anything in return, but I just remember him walking away and disappearing, and thinking to myself, wow, you know, I mean, this is why we do what we do, and if it isn't, it should be why we do what we do.
Oh, hang on.
Get your hands off me, right?
Hang on, is he? Yes, he's gay, I'm gay, you're gay, everyone's gay. Can we finish? Can we move on, please?
I'll see you around.
Stephen.
The great thing about what the writers did and what you did to it was also breaking down stereotypes. This character that come in, who was the bad boy, who got himself into trouble, who wasn't what you would think was a stereotypical gay man. And I think that was great that the show proved that to the audience, that it was breaking
from
down.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
I'll show you where I grew up.
And even now, like I say, after all this time, we did a special episode in Dublin, and now we get messages of fans that go on the tour of the locations that we filmed, and we put this love lock on the bridge, didn't we? The Steve Brendan on the Haightley Bridge. People go and put their love locks on with the Steve Brendan thing on.
Am I right in saying, is that the first time that Brendan says, I love you?
I think it was, actually. I think that's why people replay it quite a lot now, is because that was the moment that they'd been waiting for ages.
Why are you here? Because I love you. Because I can't live my life without you.
There's this big crescendo at the end where they both meet on the bridge.
I love you, Stephen.
And it's got nothing to do with sexuality. There's just two characters that just love each other.
I love you too.
Even though they hate each other at the same time with everything they're putting each other through. But this kiss just seals it perfectly.
I'm gonna kiss you now.
My daughter's on set, which makes it even more special. She's got the headphones on, and they even let her like shout, cut, and action.
And this is a really young girl watching her dad kiss another man. I didn't even question it once.
Yeah. She didn't, did she? Yeah. God, she's amazing, really. But that just shows you the generation. That, you know, that's kind of generational. Where it's like, oh yeah, that isn't weird for somebody like my daughter, but like another time, another generation, and that's kind of weirdly seen, you know.
I think the most important thing about it all is the fact I grew up watching Hollyoaks, and everyone's like, Tony, everybody knows Tony, everybody knows this, and now they add this Steve and Brendan as an iconic couple of the show, and to say that a gay couple is one of the most iconic couples in the show's history is a massive achievement.
To be part of that is humbling. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's one of the most important storylines that I think has been told in British soap, I would say.
I think that it's great now as a gentleman of a certain age that I can look back at that storyline and think, I've lived that storyline, that was my life.
It was pitched that we tell a very beautiful story between two lads, John Paul McQueen and Craig Dean. We took it very slowly at first, but then when we saw the huge reaction it was having with the audience, we decided to go for it.
He was just a normal kid, a bit quiet, a bit thoughtful. He came from a family of very loud, very big characters. For him, it was very much a kind of journey of self-discovery. You know, he started a new school, he started at Hollyoaks High, and he met a guy called Craig, and they became friends.
If you're looking for the way out, this isn't it. What? Weren't you supposed to leave last year?
Over time, John Paul was in a relationship with a young character called Hannah, played by Emma Rigby. John Paul started having feelings for his friend Craig, and we played that out over a number of months. It was a long storyline.
And just to look at them and think, wow, I remember those feelings. I remember feeling like that, and how difficult it was to say you had those feelings and to try and hide it and to go out with somebody that maybe you shouldn't be going out with, and to think that it's still really important today to see things like that, to see that represented on television, because people are still going through that.
So we had that side of it, but our storyline was rooted in love. It was a love story, and you know, so there's something for everybody to latch onto, and it can connect with everyone because it's a love story. But it also it's tackling something that affects millions of young people: sexuality, who you are, what kind of life you want to lead, who you want to be. And we just held a mirror up.
But for anyone going through that, it's incredibly difficult. And I think that John Paul and Craig's storyline really did highlight that in such a positive way.
I remember quite a lot of the storyline. Hannah's 18th birthday party. John Paul got very, very upset, and Craig couldn't understand why he was upset, because he was in love with Craig.
I'm in love with you. Craig, I'm in love with you.
All that pain and that anguish and that angst and that drama and that love between the characters all came out. Another great episode that kind of sticks in my mind is when Craig finally kind of came around to the idea of John Paul, really.
Craig, what are you doing now? Can I come in? Yeah.
It happened later, and it was, I think, and John Paul was a bit of a catalyst for that.
Please, I thought we'd got over this homophobic thing.
Look, we used to hang out, you know, play footy, do lad stuff. So, when did you become so gay, man?
Can you tell me what the problem is or what?
The language that Craig uses towards John Paul at times was important, and I think was indicative of a lot of playgrounds. You know, kids can be cruel when they want to be. Young people can be cruel.
I think there are still many shows that would sidestep a lot of the terminology and a lot of what goes into a same-sex relationship. And I think that Hollyoaks has never been shy of coming forward and saying, this is just what happens.
When we first had John Paul and Craig kissing and the camera didn't cut away, and in the viewing even I was shocked at how far we were going, we took a big deep breath, we put it out, the world didn't fall off its axis, and it was met with a huge response from the audience.
You haven't got to rush off, right? It's not going to be anyone back for ages.
Your hands off me. Faggot.
Craig calling John Paul a faggot, that was huge. We kind of knew that our audience would sit up and take notice then. That, you know, that this isn't going to be an easy ride. People sat around eating their dinner and all of a sudden they hear a word like that and they think, oh my God, you know, Hollyoaks they're not messing around, you know, with this storyline. They're really going there. I guess that's testament to the team at Hollyoaks and how invested they are and how much importance they put on storylines.
Representing LGBT plus people as not different, I think, is the goal. And that's what Hollyoaks does the best, across the board, without a question, in terms of drama or serial drama.
To not only show what the LGBT community go through, but also to educate people, viewers, that might not understand who's better to play that character than somebody that's gone through it all, lived it all, breathed it all. And I think that's why her performances were so powerful.
This is very difficult for me.
I can imagine. Just for the record, though, I think it's amazing what you've done.
Not very amazing to be yourself. Most people do it their whole lives.
Brave, then.
I think Sally's a brilliant character for the LGBT plus community because she is role model in every sense of the word. She is a trans person that's being successful and relatively happy. A happy head teacher equals a happy school. For far too long, the narrative of trans fiction was tragedy. What Sally is a success, and that translates to being a social success outside of Hollyoaks Village. There had been a couple of other trans characters, obviously, in Hollyoaks, Jason Costello and Blessing Chambers, both played by what we call cisgender actors, that is non-trans people. And I think what had happened was that there was a movement within production and casting across the board, not just in Hollyoaks, but in a lot of other dramas, as came out in 2014, 2015. There was a keenness to find trans performers who, up to this point, had not only been underrepresented, they'd just not been represented, largely because most of us kept our heads down and just did normal work. Because there was a fear that if you came out and said, yes, I'm a trans actor, then that's all you would ever get to play is a trans character. And yet, you know, as an actor, you want to play lots of different things. I had a very short episode in Shameless where I played another head teacher, but she wasn't a trans character. But when this opportunity came up, it was very much a case of, wow, this could really be a powerful thing to do. Adversity at a young age puts fire in your belly. And from that puny, terrified little boy, there grew a strong, confident, and hungry woman. She is three-dimensional. I think it's someone who constantly spoke about being trans all the time. It would get very boring and very tokenised. And that's not something that we do at Hollyoaks, is it? She has had, at the beginning, she's had stories about the fact that she was trans. It is true. I haven't always been a woman. But I've been one longer than most of you have been alive. The big one, of course, was when Myra unexpectedly appeared in the office. The last thing that Sally expected to happen. We see a little bit of argy-bargy between Sally and Myra because Sally and Myra were an item back in the late 80s. Look, I know that this is a shock, but if you would just let me...
Let me out.
Not until we've spoken. I've got a right to be heard. I am John Paul's...
John Paul's what? You mean you're his father? By blood only?
That episode features some really, really important and very emotional scenes.
And there is no way I'll let you just waltz into his life.
Waltzing anywhere. I just want the chance to...
Chance to what?
To get to know him.
Like this?
Well, of course like this. This is who I am. A lot of it was very resonant to things that had happened to me in the past. And as such, it was very emotional to film.
Do you think it's easy going through this kind of change?
That I enjoyed being called names and being laughed at by people. Families moving tables in restaurants. Teenagers calling me names. Being told I can't use the ladies' bathroom. Adults sniggering. And children pointing. There wasn't an awful lot of acting. The tears were real. The upset was real. And I think that came across. None of this is fine. It means a lot that I could play this character. And it has changed my life because I have had to come out. And I don't mean out in a small way. It's everybody knows now. Everybody knows I'm trans. For a lot of trans people, that isn't a problem, and they deal with it now, and it's part of life that being out and proud is a good thing. For me, it was a terrifying thing. Once I embraced it, it stopped being so scary, and playing Sally made it even easier.
You were my best friend.
You were mine. I loved you very much. Still do. Strictly platonic, Myra.
Good, because I'm no lesbian.
That's the difference that we have with what's happening in the world now, is that people are saying, well done and congratulations and we support you. And to be in a position now where I am a role model, to whatever extent that might be, it's an honour and a privilege. And to have a dream job and do that, I can't even put it into words. It's a gift.
You do, you just love who you love.
Love is love. From the get-go, I knew that Esther was going to be a lesbian, and it's never been something that's defined her. She did the whole bullying storyline and was never bullied once for being gay.
Their sexuality isn't what's driving the story. We're not waiting for two people to kiss because, oh, it's a big shocking moment when two girls kiss. You know, they kiss after a murder, after shooting someone, after getting on a chain with a gun, doing it all in high heels with fabulous hair, Grace. I want to be Grace.
You came. Yeah, you know me. Bout of murderous rage, but I get over it eventually. Thanks so much.
Grace represents the B in LGBT, and that's just as important as all the other kind of colours of that rainbow.
Being bisexual is sometimes very
spoken about.
I think being...
People always think, oh, if you're bisexual, it means you haven't made a choice.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not true, because there are plenty of bisexual
Yeah.
people. When it became clear to the audience that Grace was bisexual, there was no big thing. It wasn't... It didn't... You know, it didn't... She didn't stand there one day and go, oh my gosh, I think I fancy women. You know, it just happened.
No one made, like, an issue of it on social media either. Like, everyone was tweeting us being like,
oh... It
Esther
just
and
was...
Grace, it's great. Like, no one was like, oh, so now she decides she fancies women. Like, make your mind up. There was none of that.
They
It
were
was-
happy. In
Yeah,
fact, I
everyone
think they
was
preferred
actually-
me being with
Yeah.
you than they did with Trevor.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Grace. Oh, shut up, Esther.
When we first got together, it was more just a friendship thing. Then, because I'm so cute.
Yeah, and then that was it. I love the fact that they've given that sexuality to such a feisty character who's larger than life and has got a really big mouth. You know, she's such a confident person, and it really says if Grace Black can walk into a bar and put a woman on one arm and a man on the other, then anyone can.
Kim! One of my all-time favourite episodes has to be Kim and Esther getting married, because it was Hollyoaks' first lesbian wedding, and we both got to wear wedding dresses.
And it was a drama.
Yeah, always a drama. That was such a huge moment for Hollyoaks.
It was actually really beautiful.
It was really nice. And I think to see, like, two people in these gorgeous wedding dresses,
yeah,
I loved it.
Are you sure? Totally.
Oh, you both look so pretty, though. Oh, look. Look
your
at Grace's face. She hates Kim.
We've come here today to celebrate the love between Esther and Kim.
I would imagine that people that are watching it, the younger audience, would never have seen two women getting married before.
No, never.
And so it's brilliant that we can put this on at 6:30, because that 8-year-old girl is going to grow up and be comfortable in her own skin if
Yeah,
she turns out to
definitely.
like women.
I now pronounce you wife and wife. Will the guests rise and welcome the new couple? You may now kiss.
And she doesn't have to wear a trouser suit.
Exactly. You don't
She can
have to wear a
trouser suit. Who's the more masculine one out of us? OK, we'll put you in a suit.
It would have been you then.
It would have been me. I'd have totally been in a suit.
Those 3 little letters, there was quite a lot of stigma about it, especially back in the 80s, and that's initially what I thought of straight away. You think HIV, you think 80s, and I think that's one of the main reasons of doing the story, was to break that barrier down and stop that stigma. And like, say, in 2015, whenever we did it, it means a very different thing now. It's the same disease, but it can be treated.
It seemed that there was a sense that it was going away, that it was no longer an issue. But the literature I was reading told me something very different. HIV had seen its sharpest increase since the early 80s, its highest increase amongst young gay men.
People suffer with that illness, and people have unprotected sex, and people put themselves at risk. And an episode like that is trying to educate people.
Look, you're definitely going to be fine, okay? Because me and you, we've always been dead safe, haven't we? So
one of us has.
It was given its own standalone episode, which again is quite a big thing for a soap to do, to concentrate solely on one story for a whole 30 minutes of an episode.
John Paul and Steve were together at the time, and Steve had a bit of a dalliance with another lad who turned out to be HIV positive, and that was the catalyst for the storyline.
Hi, good morning. Can I get the number for the Gledhill Sexual Health Clinic, please? Thanks.
So the characters had to go to a HIV clinic to go and see someone and get tested. Kieron and I both did a huge amount of work and a lot of research, and met with people from the Terence Higgins Trust.
We spoke to people that had known people with HIV, people that were living with HIV. So to have those faces and those stories in my head when I was doing it.
There is a bit of pressure, but only in as much as you know you have to get it right.
John Paul McQueen?
Stephen here.
I love you. I love you too.
There's the possibility that Steve did have HIV. He's been having unprotected sex with his soon-to-be husband, so could he have HIV as well? So the two characters were going through their own little things and both getting tested at the same time. And I think the beauty about it was you saw the whole process of what happens in the clinic.
It was truthful. What went on in that room, getting tested, the taking of the blood, the testing, the waiting, the way they delivered the results, is exactly as it is in a clinic.
If anybody at home was watching it and kind of thought, I've had unprotected sex, or they've had somebody come to them saying, I'm HIV positive and we slept together not so long ago, you know, they could be watching that episode and thinking, I'm quite scared to go, what's going to happen when I get in there? And it was kind of spelled out for them. When you go to the clinic, these are the conversations you'll be having. This is the test, this is how long you wait. You don't wait 2 weeks anymore for the results. It's an instant, you would know there and then.
We've got a negative result. The test didn't detect any HIV antibodies.
The test was reactive.
Was reactive?
We detected HIV antibodies in your blood.
The scene when Steve gets told that he's HIV positive, I think for Kieron, it had a lot of weight to it, and his performance at the end when Steve's told that he is HIV positive was a reflection on that. That was real and that was truthful, and I'm really proud of it. It was an incredible episode.
He has been diagnosed with HIV for quite a while. Since then, he has been married. That marriage has ended, nothing to do with his illness. He's met somebody else, and I think, yeah, he's made some terrible decisions, but none of these decisions are anything to do with the fact that he was diagnosed positive. And that is a hugely important message for Hollyoaks to put out. My nan watches Hollyoaks, and she's 84, and I just think, you know, I remember coming out to my nan, and that was quite a difficult thing to do, and I didn't really know how to navigate that situation. I didn't know whether she'd be all right with it or whether, you know, she'd have problems with it. And I genuinely think that from watching shows like Hollyoaks, which she sits down and watches every night, I think it gives them a glimpse into a world that they might never have ordinarily seen.
Watch it.
Sinead!
Scott!
It was really interesting to me when Scott first appeared, and what was apparent to me was that some of the TV audience prefer their gay characters served in a very straight glass.
I think a lot of the audience were a bit kind of taken aback and a bit thrown almost, and it was a bit like, whoa, we've not seen a character like this for a long, long time.
And here was big, camp, flamboyant Scott, a man who could mince before he could walk and made no apology for it. Wasn't a universal hit with the audience.
And interestingly, some of the negative comments that I got came from within the LGBT plus community, because I feel like a lot of people felt like it was a backward step and Scott was possibly a stereotype.
It's not true to say that people like Scott don't exist. It's a massive lie, and Scott lives and breathes in every gay community, in every city in this country. And what this story does is it peels back the layers and it says that Scott isn't just about the clothes he wears, it's about how he thinks and about what he does with his life as well.
Sorry, what was your name again?
Scott Drinkwell. I'm super organised, trustworthy and very discreet.
Outwardly, people wouldn't think that there was anything wrong, and it's like he's been wearing this mask this whole time, and inwardly, he's been really sad, and he's been sad for some time.
I was reading about suicide rates and about depression in young gay men, and I thought we should marry the two. I wanted to tell a new story about how depression in gay men is not necessarily seen by their friends and relatives. Scott's been suffering in silence about being told to man up and shut up and get out. And that's been going on. That's been going on in every episode with Scott in it for about 2 years, and no one's really noticed it.
I mean, look at you. You're just a pink, plastic little parody. You can't even do gay right.
And the sad thing is that it's just been slowly kind of chipping away at him, and it reaches an awful conclusion.
And here we are, caught short and shocked by his suicide attempt, and now we'll tell the story about his depression.
I wasn't thinking straight, okay? What is this? This is a joke, because if it is, it's really not that funny.
All right, Harry.
No, Dad, it's not all right. We were sat in an ambulance not knowing whether he was going to live or die.
And now he's telling us this is just some messed up game.
This isn't helping.
So many people are suffering in silence, and particularly so within the LGBT plus community. Some of the statistics are terrifying. We worked with several charities, Mind, the Samaritans. I've also talked to people at the LGBT Foundation in Manchester, and they have a crisis team specifically for LGBT plus people who are suffering from anxiety, stress, depression. This story tells us that regardless, I guess, of whether you're in the LGBT plus community, we should be talking about it, and we should be educating people, and we should encourage people to seek help when they need it. And I really believe that that's what this story will do.
The future of LGBT stories on Hollyoaks is to keep doing what we've been doing. We tell really serious issue stories that affect teenagers, that affect young men, that affect young women, and that also affect the young LGBT audience.
People are having these great stories. They are there existing as fabulous characters, but they're human first. And whoever it is they fall in love with is not important.
You do, you just love who you love.
Love is love.
All I'd like to say to Hollyoaks really is thank you for not sticking to stereotypes, for pushing boundaries, for not going down the easy road really and being ahead of the game. You know, there's still thousands of kids that are scared to come out, that don't know any other gay people and feel completely alone in the world. So for them to be able to turn on their TV and see real LGBT characters that you get on Hollyoaks all the time is so powerful.
We'll continue to read up on what's happening to people, what's affecting people, what's changing people, what's limiting their lives, and we'll continue to tell stories that you won't find anywhere else on TV.